Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the final day of Expo 2020's 5th International Participants Meeting. My name is John Adoabiri and I will be your moderator for this session. I'm very pleased to be here with you all today and I hope we will answer all your questions successfully. Today, we'll hear from a number of speakers starting with Khaled Al-Ali, Senior Manager from the One Stop Shop. He will be followed by Caroline Burke, the Manager for International Participants, and Elise Yunus, Associate Manager for International Participants. They will provide you with an overview of your pavilion readiness, your operational fitness declaration, and your food and beverage sampling and gifting, as well as alcohol processes. Before I hand over to our speakers, I've got a few housekeeping items to cover quickly. Firstly, I'd like to ask you all to please keep your microphones muted in order to avoid disruptions during the session. Today's session will be recorded and will be accessible on the portal. The session will run in English. However, translations in Arabic, French, and Spanish are available via the different channels. To switch the channel to a different language, please click the interpretation button, which is marked as a globe icon on the bottom of your screen. For any questions, kindly use the Q&A tab on the bottom of your screen. Please state your full name, the country that you represent, followed by your question. And this will help us to address all questions accordingly within the allocated time frame. If we do not get to answer your questions during the session due to time limitations, we will ensure to follow up afterwards with the response. Additionally, we will be publishing an FAQs on the participants portal. So now, without further delay, please Khaled, the floor is yours.
Thank you, John. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, welcome to the Pavilion Readiness, Operational Fitness and Food and Beverage Sampling and Gifting session. Thank you for taking time to watch the information videos for these topics and for sharing your questions. We look forward to answering all of these today. As part of our ongoing commitment to your success at Expo 2020, and as previously communicated, we'll provide you with a 40-feet container to bring all your goods to your pavilion. By now, your country manager has shared the revised timelines that are specially tailored to the location of your shipment origin, access to ports, and the frequency of sailing times. To ensure the smooth shipment and arrival of your goods, we request that you please adhere to these timelines and submit your exhibition objects plan, commercial proposal, and shipment transportation plan on the Expo portal for our review. As you already know, your exhibition objects plan contains information about the contents of your exhibition display within your pavilion and was designed for you to advise us on all the materials you wish to have on display as part of the visitor's journey. Another equally important component of your pavilion experience and storytelling is your retail activity, and the commercial proposal is an important tool in helping you plan this. If you plan to have retail activities and/or are planning to distribute samples and giveaways within your pavilion or your world market kiosk, you must submit a commercial proposal to ensure you obtain approval from Expo 2020. For your ease of use, we have made a number of enhancements to the commercial proposal. For example, you can now complete a mass upload of information and image on one go, as well as add further information about your product's shelf life so that we can consider the conditions for shipping and storage and maintain the quality of your items. These are just some examples, and we will continue to enhance our process to ensure you have a smooth and seamless experience. Your shipment transportation plan will only be available for editing once your exhibition objects plan and commercial proposal are approved. All you have to do for the shipment transportation plan is to enter any additional shipping information on the Expo portal, as well as any items not captured, such as office equipment.
Another important component of your readiness is your pavilion wrapping images. In our last IPM, we talked about how your pavilion provides an opportunity and a platform to express your uniqueness to the world. And your pavilion wrapping is the first point of contact between you and your Expo 2020 visitors. So it is important that you please make it a priority to have your final approval with us at the latest by the 30th of September 2020. Since the last IPM, many of you have asked us about the Operational Fitness Declaration, which is due for completion by the 1st of September 2020. Declaring your pavilion operational ready is the last step before opening your pavilion doors to the public. This means your exhibitions are installed and you have a clear understanding of how your team will operate during event time. In support of this, we will provide you with an operational plan, your emergency action plan, the relevant insurance, and lastly, training modules so you can complete your staff training declaration. As you already know, a number of test events will be conducted in the last 30 days leading to the start of the event to ensure our collective readiness. The test events that are relevant to your operation will be conducted on the 3rd and 4th of September 2021.
Lastly, with regards to food and beverage sampling and gifting, we want to allow an opportunity for you to showcase some of your unique food and beverage items through sampling and gifting activities within your pavilion. Food sampling or tasting activities can be carried within your pavilion at any time, and you also have the opportunity to carry out alcohol tasting activities within the exhibition area as a closed event only. Maritime and Mercantile International MMI and African and Eastern are Dubai's only licensed providers for alcoholic beverage supply and services. We are happy to announce that MMI has been designated as Expo 2020 Dubai's exclusive provider of alcoholic beverage supply and services. This means any purchase, clearance, storage, and transportation of any alcoholic beverages to be served at the Expo site by you must be through MMI. Through our collaboration with MMI, you are able to access both MMI and African and Eastern alcoholic beverages through a single consolidated rate card, and you can place online orders for alcoholic beverages directly on the MMI system through the Expo portal. In the information pack, as well as the TDP alcohol question and answer document, we have provided details on the various tariffs applicable on the purchase or import of alcohol, which is intended for commercial use, as well as the allowance of tariffs made for alcohol intended for non-commercial use, such as alcohol that will be offered to guests free of charge or for sampling or gifting. Please do identify this in your shipment transportation plan. If you are planning to gift alcohol, you must raise a request for gifting labels to the one-stop shop via the Expo portal. Alcoholic bottles that will be gifted must be offered in sealed packages with the label provided by the one-stop shop affixed to each bottle. Lastly, we request all individuals that will be serving alcohol during the alcohol tasting events complete the alcohol service course that will also be available on the Expo portal at no cost. All the information shared today and before this session can be found in the commercial and food and beverage guides, as well as the TDP alcohol question and answer document, all available on the Expo portal. Thank you. And now let's move on to answering your questions.
Thank you very much, Khalid, Caroline, and Elise for the key takeaways. We'll now open the floor for questions, and we'll be joined by Omar, Adnan, Basil, and Anna. So let's take a look at our first question. The first question has to do with the shipping of goods following submission of the commercial plan and shipping transportation plan, which is as follows. Once my commercial plan is approved and my shipping transportation plan is submitted, who will liaise with me and what will be the process to ship my container? Anna, can you please answer this?
Thank you for the question. Once you have submitted your shipment transportation plan, we will review it and we will reach out to you locally. So the logistic provider in your country will make contact with you, and you will then together make a site survey of the location where you wish us to pick up the goods for you. They will also have a look at the items that you want to ship, and we will pack it, load the container, and then take care of the whole shipment process for you. If you have any questions locally, the logistic provider will be your main contact. However, we here in logistic will of course be in the background and always answer any questions that you might have. Once the container reaches Dubai, we will clear it for you, bring it to the storage location, and offload it into our warehouse.
Thank you very much for that answer, Anna. I have another one for you. It's with regards to labeling. So the question is, who will provide the labeling for my container?
Yes, we will do that. So we will pack the goods for you and we will label it as well. So during this site survey, we will have a closer look at what it is you want to ship, what the pallets looks like, the packages, and then how we can pack it in the best way possible. So the logistic provider will bring the material to pack it and to label it. So you don't have to think about that. If you have any advice for us on how you wish your goods to be packed, we will of course be happy to get that kind of feedback.
Thank you very much for that. Our next question, which follows, relates to deadlines. Specifically, I believe the commercial plan, the shipping transportation plan, and exhibition objects plan deadlines. So the question is, what if I cannot meet the deadlines provided by Expo 2020? I'd like to invite Khaled to please answer this question.
Thank you, John. Thank you for asking this question. With regards to the deadlines that we already shared with the participants through the country managers, we kindly ask all the participants to stick to these timelines as much as possible. But if you think that for any reason you cannot meet any of the deadlines we shared, please, as soon as possible, contact your country manager and we can work together on how we can support you best to bring all your items to the site as soon as possible and make your pavilion ready for your visitors.
Thank you very much, Khaled, for that answer. We have another question coming in. What if my goods arrive and they are damaged? Anna, I'd like to invite you again to answer this one, please.
When your goods arrive, we will offload it for you, and we want your logistic manager to be present. There will be a review of the offloaded goods, and you will be able to mark any kind of discrepancies on the packing list. You will compare the packing list versus with what you see. If there are any damages to the packaging or the actual goods, there will be a process to adhere to, which we will roll out in the coming months. The most important thing to know, though, is that your goods is insured the whole way from the moment we close the container until it arrives to site and loading into your pavilion.
Anna, thank you again very much for that. We have a question on wrapping. So I believe I'll be passing this one on to Basil. By when do we need to complete our wrapping? And when will we be able to see the images on site?
Thanks for the question, John. The provision of images needs to be, the final deadline for that is the end of September, as communicated earlier. We'll be able to begin to see images applied on site for the upper panels beginning in January, and for the lower panels beginning in March. And this exercise will be complete by the end of June.
Thank you very much, Basil. Moving on to just clarify a little bit more on the wrapping. What type of images are you looking for on the upper panel versus the lower panels? Basil, again, if you could help us out, please.
Yeah, definitely, John. We refer to this project as the postcard project. So for us, what we're looking for is, for the upper panels, we're looking for images that reflect a sense of place. So landscapes, landmarks, architecture. And then for the lower panels, we're looking for engaging portraits that reflect the culture.
Thank you very much, Basil. Okay, now moving on to a question we have received on food tasting and sampling. So the question is, are there areas designated for food tasting and sampling in the open spaces? Do we need to book the spaces? What is the deadline? And can we cook or have food preparation stations in the pavilions for sampling? I'd like Elise to please answer this.
Okay. For food sampling, you are requested to raise an alcohol, for food sampling, you can have food sampling within the pavilion. There are no specific spaces. We will give you all the deadlines. If you give us more details through your country manager, we will be happy to assist you.
Thank you very much, Elise. So we have a question from Nissan, one of our partners. So the question is, what is the process of containers coming to Dubai? Containers that are not F&B related, but for materials fit out, such as furniture, wood, etc. If I can pass this question on to Khaled, please.
Okay, once your goods arrive to the port in the UAE, the logistics provider will apply for the appropriate customs declaration, and the items will be moved to the final destination accordingly. And the customs codes will be used are the codes that belongs to the participant in order to log these items to the inventory of that participant and for the reconciliation purposes.
Thank you very much, Khaled, for that. For our next question, are there any special shipping arrangements for goods with a shelf life not suited to the shipping plan given? Khaled, if I can please ask you to take that one again.
Okay, the question is, can you repeat the question, please, John?
No problem. The question is, are there any special shipping arrangements for goods with a shelf life not suited to the shipping plan given?
Okay, once you submit your shipment transportation plan, our logistics team will review the items that are already approved on the shipment transportation plan. And if any of the items require any special types of shipping, we will work together on arranging for that.
Thank you very much for that answer, Khaled. Okay, so I'd like to move on to the next question. And again, it's got to do with labeling. For this one, I'd like to ask you to please help us out, Anna. Does product labeling have to be in English?
So if it's for the labeling for the goods, yes, we want it to be in English. If it's for labeling for the products, I'm going to pass that question on to Caroline.
Yes, the labeling for the products needs to be in English. The front of the product needs to have an English display, and also the ingredients on the back side of the product needs to be in English. So as part of your submission for your commercial proposal, those products, the labels need to be submitted in the commercial proposal when you're putting it on the portal. In the new enhanced template that we're providing, you can upload the images of the labels front and back in one file. They don't now need to be uploaded individually. But yes, labels have to be in English.
Thank you again, Anna and Caroline. Our next question is to do with packaging. So in the last session, we were told that Expo is strictly prohibited using plastics. So does this mean that the participants are not even allowed to use plastics in the pavilion, since some of the products to be sold are packed in plastics? Please clarify, and thank you. I'd like to please pass this question on to Adnan.
Thank you. That's a very good question. And in the previous sessions, we were putting a lot of emphasis on how sustainability is important for us. And the objectives that we have set for Expo and all the participants to meet our sustainability targets and ensure that we have a sustainable site that is showcasing use of recyclables and diversion of waste and all other initiatives that we have put forward. Such initiatives are documented in our RISE initiative document, which puts a number of activities and initiatives that we would like all participants to take part of. In relation to your specific question, we would like to look at that packaging as part of your commercial plan submission. And if there are no alternatives for such packaging, then we will address that and see if we can accept it. We advise you all to look at that and be part of our sustainability initiatives and allow us with you to succeed in our efforts. Thank you.
Adnan, thank you very much for giving us some clarity on that issue regarding packaging. So we'll move on to the next question now from one of our participants asking about how about commercial products and customs clearances. So for this, I'll pass on to Khalid, please.
Thank you, John. Thank you for asking this question. With regards to the commercial items, your container, when it arrives to the UAE, all the items, whether they are the commercial or non-commercial, will all go to the warehouse. And we will contact you. By that time, we expect your logistics manager to be on the ground and available in the country for him to come and do the paperwork for moving the items from the free zone code to the commercial code.
Thank you very much, Khalid. I have another one from you. Is it possible to have the customs clearance amount of each container before departure?
Yes, once you submit your shipment transportation plan, the system will ask for the value of each items you are shipping to the UAE. So based on that value that you will provide, we'll provide you with an estimated calculation for the customs declaration, and we'll share that with you in advance. So for you to be prepared before the items arrive to the UAE.
Thank you very much, Khalid. So for our next question, we have a little bit on shipping and storage. I'll ask Anna to please go first, and then perhaps Khalid can also shed some light. The question is as follows. We try to send as much as possible in the container, also items that will be sold in the pavilion. Where can we store these items? In an Expo storage? And when do we need items in the pavilion when can the delivery be made by Expo?
Yes, great question. Thank you. When your container arrives to Dubai, we will bring it to our warehouse and we'll store it there until your pavilion is ready and we will load it into your pavilion. Sorry, what was the next? I didn't hear the rest of the question.
Would you like me to repeat the second half of that? Okay. So I'll repeat the whole thing again. We try to send as much as possible in the container, also items that will be sold in the pavilion. Where can these items be stored in an Expo storage? And would we need the items in the pavilion? Can the delivery be made by Expo when we need the items?
Yes, yeah. So sorry. So we have storage for your items where we will keep it, and then we will also be loading it into your pavilion. And I think that's it. Sorry.
Okay, with regards to moving the items to your pavilion, once we have all your items in the warehouse, as I mentioned earlier, we expect your logistics manager to be available in the country to review all the items. We will advise your logistics manager on what are the commercial items that need to have another paperwork to move them to the local code and do all the customs paperwork, as well as we will try to work with you together to shift all your items to the pavilion to ensure having a dust-free pavilion before the event starts.
Thank you very much, Khalid. So our next question is as follows. when and where do we pay taxes for delivery of our goods to our pavilion? And also, can one change the interior of the pavilion to our own convenience for displaying? I'd like to invite Omar to perhaps take this question, and Khalid, if you'd like to contribute as well.
Oh, thank you, John. I think for the fact of trying to make modification for your pavilion for the material you would like on the display, I think we encourage you please to finish the exhibition item plan, because that will allow us ahead of time to see if there is any need. I think we are so much advanced in the project. We will always look and seeing ways where we can accommodate your request. So if you share with us the list of items, that would be ideal. So our team who looks after the exhibition and installation can look at them and to see part of your design you selected, if they be accommodated on the inside the pavilion. And we will work closely with you. And I think my colleague Khalid will cover the issue, the second half of the question.
The second half of the question has to do with moving the items from the free zone code to the local code. We're talking about the commercial items, which will be due for customs duties and VAT. That will be at the time of moving the items from the free zone code to the local code. You will have the calculation in advance once we review your shipment transportation plan. So we'll give you the estimated value of the duties and VAT. And by the time the items arrive to the warehouse and we're ready to move them to the pavilion, as mentioned earlier, we'll expect your logistics manager to be available here to complete the paperwork and do the necessary payments in order to move your items to the pavilion.
Thank you again, Khalid, for your valuable contributions. I'd like to follow that up with another question, please, for yourself. Is there any assistance in transporting high valuable products like jewelry or mineral products?
Okay, high valuable items can be transported in special conditions upon your advice. If you think any of the items that you own requires any special type of transportation or insurance or security, we kindly advise you to highlight that in the shipment transportation plan stage. And you mentioned that this item to me is very valuable and we require it to be shipped in a special condition, stored in a special condition, and displayed in a secured way. Accordingly, we will plan it together and make sure as much as possible to meet your requirement.
Thank you very much, Khalid. On to our next question. This one is from our partner, again, Nissan, regarding plastic wrappings for food like sandwiches and wrappers in a cafe. Is this plastic allowed, or is it as long as the plastic is environmentally friendly that it will be okay? Can you please help us out with this, Adnan?
Yes, thank you. Again, as I stated, the requirements and regulations, or not regulations, as in more requirements and initiatives that we have for free plastic and sustainable material usage in food and beverage activities are listed in our RISE document initiative, which is on the portal. Use of plastic or environmentally healthy plastic is also a good idea to address if paper wrapping or cardboard or any type of material that are more sustainable is not available. We can look at those materials and our sustainability team will be happy to address such items if you push it through your account manager. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adnan. And back to you for another question related to alcohol tasting. So if we want to serve our own country's alcoholic beverages at closed events for a tasting, for example, through National Day, and the approved distributors mentioned don't stock our national brands, are there any other ways we can get our beverages to the Expo, for example, through perhaps a consulate in Dubai?
Thank you. That's a very good question, and I'm glad that it was raised. What we have put in place is a special import process with our exclusive provider, MMI. As you know, MMI is part of Emirates Group, our partner, and they have worldwide reach into different countries, whether it's for travel of passengers or movement of goods. Through the special import agreement that you would enter with our provider, they'll be able to source that item for you and bring it to Dubai, go through the clearance process until the delivery to your pavilion for your non-commercial or commercial activity. So those requirements that you have, please share it with your country manager, and we'll make introductions with MMI for you to address that item. We put all the system together to make a clear segregation between your participation at Expo as a nation versus your diplomatic representation in the country. So we do not encourage you to go through your consulate or embassy for such items, just to ensure that we have a segregation of accounts and responsibilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Adnan. On to a question regarding exhibition objects plan and commercial proposals. So the question reads as follows. If our items are both for exhibition and commercial purposes, can we produce two similar lists for both purposes? Khaled, if you could please help us out with this question.
Yes, thank you for asking this question. You will highlight such items in the exhibition objects plan submission. We will discuss it with you on how we can plan for bringing in items which is supposed to be for exhibition and later on for sale. We can have that discussion when you submit that exhibition object plan proposal.
Thank you again, Khaled. If you don't mind, I'll pass another one back to you. This is with regards to customs clearance. So customs clearance of commercial objects, is it paid on arrival of the container or at the end of Expo, on the understanding that unsold objects will return to the participants' country?
With regards to paying the duties and VAT for the items that are imported, all your items will be shipped to the country on the free zone code, and they will all be stored in the warehouse. And as explained earlier, by the time we are ready to move all the items to your pavilion to have a dust-free pavilion before the event starts, the commercial items, you have already the calculation at the shipment transportation plan stage. We'll be asking you to complete the paperwork for the customs application and accordingly pay for the duties. So you'll pay for the items and then they'll be moved to the pavilion for sale.
Thank you very much, Khalid. On to a question about wrapping. So for Basil, please, if you could help us out with this one. The question is as follows. Regarding wrapping, we want to add some captions with the images so that the visitors can easily identify our message. Basil, grateful for your input, please.
Yeah, thanks for that, John. With respect to the guidelines that were created for this project, we're discouraging the use of slogans and messages on the images, though we are approving the use of the country names on the upper panels.
Thank you very much. Okay, so our next question is how far is the warehouse from the Expo site, and how long will it take approximately for items to be transported from the warehouse to the pavilion? If I could please ask Adnan to help us out with this question.
Thank you, John. Our warehouse is the Expo operated warehouse is on site, and it's very close to the destinations that they are targeted to help the thematic district pavilion countries. I would like to state that this option is only available for the thematic district countries, and this service is exclusive for them. the frequency of distribution is agreed based on demand and how fast your turnaround of your commercial items is happening. If you're depleted from stock, we will be stocking that on a weekly or bi-weekly rotation based on your requirements. Thank you.
Thank you again, Adnan. Our next question is as follows. How do we determine the value of items such as artifacts? This relates specifically to completing the shipping documents. So if possible, Omar, I'd like to please ask you to help us out with this question.
Thank you, John. I think it's there's many ways we can look at this. The artifacts is if it's a reproduction, not reproduction, if it's the original. I think it's one of this question that you really can't have a direct one answer. We'll be happy that we receive the pictures, an assessment, and we can work it collectively to see what is the value that we need to put next to each item, because also it depends on the insurance that we are getting the material with. So please do share with us the item that you have in mind that you would like to ship, so we can work collectively along and also consult with the authority on the kind of item pricing that can be done. So mainly related to the insurance coverage while it's in sea.
Thank you again very much, Omar. Our next question is with regards to recycled plastic for restaurant purposes. Specifically, is it possible to use recycled plastic for restaurant purposes? Caroline, if I could ask you to please help us out with this question.
It is possible to use recycled plastic for our restaurant purposes.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Our next question with regards to mineral brands of water. So we have national brands of mineral water, which are in a Tetra Pak box, which is 100% compostable. Can we send it to be used in the pavilion as a gift or free tasting? And can we sell it in the pavilion? And do we need to import it through MMI? I would please pass this question on to Khalid.
Thank you, John. With regards to mineral water, it's one of the restricted items that are controlled by Emirates Standardization Authority. You can send us some labeling and certification of that item. We'll review it with the controlling authority and we'll advise you on what kind of certification that you need to provide in order to import that item. And a second part of the question is, do you have to import the mineral water through MMI? No, the mineral water can be imported by any other logistics provider, and we will work together on either bring it if it fits into the 40-feet container, or we can ship it in any other way.
Khalid, thank you again for clarifying. Our next question, can the boxes or display boxes in the children's area in the pavilion be moved around or removed from the pavilion? So that's the first part of the question. The second part of the question is, for all the display cases in the pavilion, is there a place to put the label or in brackets, write up on the objects that will be displayed in those cases? I'd like to please invite Omar to take this question.
No, thank you for your question. I think, as they say, everything's possible, but sometimes we have the time limitation also that do not help us in here. It's very difficult at this stage to come and do a major changes to the pavilion, especially that everything is ready and it's only waiting now to receive the material and to start the preparation for the final touches. However, if there is a need that for a specific purpose for the children area, in particular from a safety, we designed it everything in a very safe manner. However, if for a exhibition purpose it need to be designed, we need to discuss this and it need to be discussed as soon as possible. I don't want to say no, but also we're going to stay open for a little bit of time to see if we can really get this items resolved quickly. On the issue of having a name tag inside the boxes, there is a kind of explanation that yes, there will be some sort of plates where you can have writing on it to display what's inside the box. If you don't have quickly and immediate access to it, we'll make sure that you would receive the full explanation by the team, so we can start preparing it. Again, it's a reminder for most of you that we've been sending follow-up emails. We need to receive your shipment transportation plan, because it contains both the commercial and the non-commercial item that you're going to be using on display, especially the content and the exhibition material. This would really be a tremendous help for us to see how can we help you, and what kind of ideas that we have, and how we can really support and facilitate. So again, please, if we can have everything ready from your side in the coming 2 months maximum, that's the ideal scenario, because we need now to move into focusing more on the discussion that's going to happen, like we discussed yesterday, about these various events that we're going to organize from now leading up to the Expo. So the exhibition for us, everything that we promised you, that the pavilion is ready, as a matter of fact, it is ready. What we need now is the material coming from your side, so we can put them and have the final finishing touches on the pavilion.
Thank you very much for providing us with that answer. So our next question is as follows. If we want to change all the exhibition items during the middle of the Expo, is there support from the organizers to ship those items? So I would invite Adnan, please, if you could take this question.
Thank you, John. Our commitment to the Thematic District Pavilion participants is, as we stated earlier, a 40-foot container to arrive at the beginning, before and prior the event is starting, so that we can set it up. If you are planning to change your exhibition throughout the Expo, whether if it's a rotational or a total change, we would like you to highlight this right from the beginning, so we are able to ship all your items at the same time, and then plan for that change of exhibit and see if it's possible to happen. Our commitment is a singular container of 30 foot. If that is not achievable, then we will discuss this with you and come with a solution that fits us both. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adnan, for that response. Just before we move on to our next question, just a gentle reminder that we will also have a sustainability panel following on this afternoon and following this session, where you are more than welcome to ask your sustainability related questions. So just flagging that for your information. Moving on to our next question with regards to retail and kiosk. Will Expo be assisting on the barcode? Does one have to come ready with the barcode in order to help so that Expo will upload the question? I'd like to please invite Caroline to answer this question. Thank you.
So the Expo will assist with the barcoding. We will provide a barcoding system for you to put on your products when you come to the kiosks, and our Retail in a Box team will assist you with uploading the barcodes into the Retail in a Box system. So it should be very straightforward.
Thank you very much, Caroline. So our next question is as follows. This is with regards to taxes for commercial products. We were told that it's 20% taxes in total, or 10% royalty, 5% VAT, and 5% customs duties. Please clarify if I'm wrong. And will the Expo reimburse the VAT and customs duties paid at the entry point if the goods are unsold at the end of the Expo? Khalid, please could you take this question?
Thank you, John. With regards to the taxes, the customs duty is 5%, the value added tax is 5%, and there are some excise taxes related to alcohol, which will be 50%, and there is another tax related to Dubai municipality for the royalties, 7%. So if the customs duties that are paid are not refundable, And with regards to the value added tax, if it is paid against any exhibit or operational items, it will be refunded. And with regards to such questions related to excise taxes, I believe that you'll add that in your commercial proposal, and we will inform you about the calculation in advance as mentioned earlier.
Thank you again, Khalid. Our next question on certification. So, will the local certification suffice, or will a country need international certification where agro-based products are concerned? I'd like to please invite Khalid to take this question.
Okay, with regards to certification for shipping any item to the UAE, you mainly require the certificate of origin and the health certificate for some kinds of products. The certificates that are issued in your country, as long as it is issued by local authority with the seal, they will be accepted.
Thank you very much for that one. So moving on to the selling of items again. So this question reads as follows. The selling items we will send before the expo starts in the container. But what happens if we sell all the items within the first 2 months and we need to replace it? Can we have a new shipment by expo, or should we provide one ourselves? If I could please ask Adnan to take this question.
Yes, thank you. That's a very good question, and it's a welcome scenario from a commercial perspective that you'll manage to sell all your items in 2 months. However, as I stated before, our commitment is for a singular container of 40 foot. In the case that you have managed to achieve selling all your commercial items, any additional replenishment will have to be at your own discretion and cost. Thank you.
Thank you very much again, Adnan, for that response. So what I think we'll do now is just to wait a few moments to see if there are any more questions coming in. Welcome back, participants, and thank you very much for bearing with us. So our next question is with regards to the dates for shipments of containers. Are there new dates for shipments of containers for all participating countries, and can that be made available to all? I would invite Caroline to please take this one.
Yes, we have communicated the revised dates for the commercial proposal submission, the exhibition objects plan, and the ST shipment transportation plans with your country managers, who in turn have shared these dates with you. If you haven't received this information, please reach out to your country manager and they will be able to provide you with the revised dates.
Thank you very much for that, Caroline. Moving on to our next question. I believe it relates to helpers for the exhibit. So will there be helpers or people from Expo to help us with assembling the exhibits or installations for exhibition in the pavilion? If Anna, if you could please take this question.
Our logistic crew on site will move your items from a warehouse to your pavilion. They will load it in and unpack your items as well. If you want us to do any installations for you, we will do that as per your instructions, but we'll be happy to help you with that.
Thank you, Anna, for the elaboration on that. And on to a question regarding kiosks. So the kiosk doesn't have, or does the kiosk have storage or a small storage? How does it work with the delivery from the Expo storage to the kiosk? And will Expo do it for free and daily during the night time? I'd like to please ask Caroline if she could help us out with this question.
Okay, thank you, John, for the question. So the kiosk does not have storage. It's actually a 13-meter square area. The delivery will work by logging onto the Expo portal and raising a delivery request with the logistics team to deliver to the pavilion. The allowance for the delivery to the pavilion or the kiosk is 2 pallets per week, twice per week.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Another question on the kiosk. In the kiosk, can we install an electric coffee machine with national brand of coffee to be sold? Elise, if you could please take this one.
Can you please repeat the question?
The question is as follows. In the kiosk, can we install an electric coffee machine with a national brand of coffee to be sold?
Well, you can install an electrical coffee machine, but the coffee machine, the water supply of the coffee machine must be a built-in because it's not available in your kiosk.
Thank you very much, Elise. And another one back to you with regards to food safety. So, does a person in charge for food safety need to have any prior experience or training in the food industry? Or can it be somebody from the pavilion staff without prior training or experience who will then go through online training provided by Dubai Food Watch?
The PIC is recommended to have knowledge in the food field and food safety, but a specific food safety training for the PIC will be done by Dubai municipality, facilitated by Expo 2020 to all the PICs.
Thank you again very much for that answer. On duties and artifacts, our next question is, do we have to pay any duties on artifacts and display items that are expected to be shipped back to the country? If I could please ask Khalid to take this question.
Thank you, John. With regards to the exhibit items and operational items, they will be imported on the free zone code. They are exempted from the duties and you'll not be asked to pay for the duties on these items. And once you ship them back, you'll not be asked to pay any duties as well.
Thank you again, Khalid. The next question is as follows. Are there any special rules governing the exhibition and sale of tobacco products? Adnan, if you could please take this.
Thank you. We understand that tobacco is, to some participating countries, is a national product and part of their economy. In terms of display, such items in relation to your theme and subjects that you are exhibiting, that is fine, as long as it's stated in your theme statement that you have submitted earlier. In relation to promoting tobacco, that is prohibited, and we will not allow the promotion of tobacco products nor the sale of tobacco products within as part of your commercial activities. If you wish to present or gift some tobacco products for your guests, that is allowed, and it needs to be stated in your commercial plan. I believe that covers it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you again, Adnan, for that. The next question is as follows. Will we receive the range and rates for alcohol from MMI before we decide on whether to import alcohol or to purchase it directly through MMI? I would invite Khalid to please take this question.
Thank you, John. With regards to the rates, they will be available on Expo portal, and you can review the rates and evaluate it accordingly.
Thank you. The next question is, if we decide to purchase alcohol, will the assisted countries be subject to all these conditions of sale, including customs, clearance, and taxes? Or is there a specific exemption for these countries because of their status of less developed countries? So I will please invite Omar to take this question.
Thank you, John. We have committed to support all the participants equally in the Expo. And I think our presence today and discussing all the details is a good testimony for it. What we're doing, we have a lot of exemption being granted. All the material are coming in for exhibition and not for commercial purposes will be exempted. The only items that will have to pay taxes, as mentioned in our shipment, logistics, and tax guide, is the material that are due for commercial purposes. Any item that you want to sell, this is what have to be paid on it, duties.
Thank you again for that response, Omar. So our next question is on manpower to help with assembling the exhibit components. Will there be any assistance to help us with assembling the exhibition components or installation of the exhibition in the pavilion? And I'll pass this one over to Anna.
Yes, correct. So our site logistic team will be happy to help you with that. They will deliver your items from our warehouse to your pavilion. And if you require any additional services with moving items around or installation and unpacking as such, we will be able to service you with that.
Our next question is as follows, and I believe we've had a similar question, but thank you to elaborate again. What is the time frame for all containers to arrive in Dubai prior to the opening ceremony? 1 or 2 months prior to the opening ceremony. Can Khalid please take this question?
Thank you, John. As we mentioned earlier, all the deadlines for submission, exhibit object plan, commercial proposal, and shipment transportation plan, together with the other shipping timelines, already shared with the participant through the country managers. So please reach out to your country manager, make sure you receive these deadlines, and you start working accordingly. And if you think you need any support or you discuss these timelines, please reach out to us.
Thank you, Khalid. And our next question is with relation to the wrapping. So, considering that the expo will last for 6 months, is it possible to change the lapping of the lower and the upper panel? I'd invite Adnan to please take this question.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we won't be able to do this. The challenge around the installation of these items to be ready on time for the pavilion and the expo opening is big. And we are currently waiting for final approvals from some of the participants that they have not approved their images and their graphics yet. I will pass this also to Basil to give a bit of clarity on the complexity of this project.
Thanks, Adnan. Actually, the timeframes for the application of these wraps involves high-level equipment and it's quite an extensive application. So we haven't factored this in to the program, and obviously, as you just said, for us, it's we won't be looking to entertain this.
Thank you very much for that response, Adnan and Basil. Moving on to our next question. This relates to, again, to food and beverage sampling and gifting. So one of our participants would just like a little bit more clarity. The question is, are you, on food and beverage sampling and gifting, are you saying that the alcohol from one country will be imported by MMI, or are you saying that we buy it from them to be served at the pavilion? So if we can have a little bit more of clarity on this, it would be most appreciated. Adnan, we'll pass this one on to you.
Thank you, John. So what we have done with MMI is that we have prepared rate card that covers both authorized and licensed provider of alcohol in Dubai for the sale of alcohol and supply of alcohol. You will have access to this rate card and you can purchase the items directly from MMI. If MMI or the other supplier, African Eastern, is not carrying that stock, then you can organize with MMI for a special import request, and they will import the item for you. If you wish to import it yourself, that could happen. However, once the item arrives to the port in Dubai, the clearance, logistics activities, storage, and transportation to the site must be conducted by MMI. I hope that clarifies the matter. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Adnan. So on to our next question. Is it okay to have all the products the same in both the retail shops and the kiosk for sale? So if I could please invite Caroline to help us with this question.
It is possible to have the items for sale in the retail shop and the kiosk. However, the kiosk area is 13 meters squared, so it's not a very large area. So for oversized items or larger items, they won't be permitted for sale within the kiosk due to space.
Thank you very much for that. Each country has a free kiosk. Is it possible to purchase additional kiosks, and at what cost? Omar, if I could please invite you to take this question.
Thank you, John. The kiosk, it's part of an initiative we launched called the World Market. The whole purpose of it is to give a window for the countries to try to promote the products that's done by, let's say, the NGOs, the working families, or of a product that can have a global stage and exposure. This is not meant to be a very commercial for the Expo. So unfortunately, no, we will not be able to provide any additional at any rate. Again, it was given as an offer for the countries to have a showcase of a product that can, at one time, be shown to the almost 25 million visitors coming to the Expo.
Thank you very much for that, Omar. Again, our next question, we'd like to revisit some of the discussion on duties. So can you please confirm that there will be no duties to be paid on promotional giveaway items? This one I'll ask Khalid to please take.
Thank you, John. With regards to the promotional items, we'll kindly ask you to highlight these kind of items on the shipment transportation plan. It will depend on whether these items are consumable items like food and beverage or health products or other types of souvenirs. So at the shipment transportation plan stage, we will advise you on if they are consumable items that are subject to duties. We'll inform you in advance, or if there are other types of souvenirs, they will be exempted from the duties.
Thank you very much for that response, Khalid. So our next question is with regards to the selling of gold medals. Is it possible to sell gold medals or gold money? I'll please invite Khalid to take this question.
Thank you, John. With regards to selling gold and other precious metals, kindly submit that in your commercial proposal. We will review your commercial proposal, and based on the review, we'll advise you accordingly on the special terms and conditions that are associated to this kind of activity. But in principle, yes, if you submit it in a commercial proposal, it can be considered as long as you'll be meeting the terms and conditions for handling such an activity.
Thank you very much, Khalid, for that response. Moving on, regarding gifts or testing like beverages such as coffee, is there a need to have a place such as a small kitchen with a washing sink in order to wash utilities, even if we are going to have use through cups? I'd please invite Omar to take this question.
Thank you for this question. We have been approached by a couple of countries when they wanted at the early stages where they flagged to us. Definitely, when you want to serve any item, even it's in a beverage format and require preparation, we need to make sure that you have a water outlet. So the countries who did approach us by when we doing the design planning, we did provide them with a water outlet. At the moment, if anybody would like to do it, it will be very unfortunately unable to accommodate. Again, please do share with us what you have in mind so we know what's the preparation required from the back end. There is still also on the first floor a small pantry that goes next to the offices that can be used. So I'm sure when there is a will, there is a way we can find a model on how we can help you in this process.
Thank you again, Omar. We have a question with regards to the new dates again for the shipping of containers. If we can have a little bit more clarity to help our participant out. I raised the general question on the new dates for the shipment of containers. Thank you again for your kind response. This one I'd please invite Omar to take.
So I want to take this opportunity just as a simply not only related to the container, but in general. We really need your help. Yes, the Expo was delayed by almost 1 year, but the work, we have gone a long way from our preparation. Your pavilion is almost ready. We need to make the final touches of your pavilion, which means we need to receive your material on site. We need to finalize it. We need as well to receive the appropriate clearances from authorities, like my colleague Khalid mentioned, for some of you who wants to bring agri products, for some of you who wants to bring a product with a shelf life. So it's very important that you help us to meet the deadline. We don't want to reach at a point where we're gonna open the Expo and your material not on site. So we have shared with you the revised timelines that we would like you please to help us achieve that. It is very important. If you're having particular difficulties, please reach out to us. We can work with our logistic partners to see what's the best way to accommodate. So we urge you as a partner, as a friends, because for us, it is very important that your pavilion is in its best shape, that represent perfectly what you envisage it to represent, that can help you deliver your message. You need to help us in the deadline. For example, when we mentioned about the wrapping, by 30 September, we need to have the wraps. For some of you might say, but it's too early, we still know. We need to make production. We need to make sure that we go back to you with a final render, how it will look like. So you are very well aware of and you don't have to worry about it anymore. So we can focus on the substance, and our colleague, like yesterday in their sessions, about this amazing program we're rolling, the thematic weeks. So it is really, as a partner, we're asking you to help us meet those deadlines, and we cannot do them alone. Everything that we as an Expo have committed, we have done, and we are on track, on progress. Now we need your help to take us through what you call the last mile. So I urge all of you, if you have any difficulty, flag it from the beginning so we can see if there is areas to accommodate. The last thing we want to do, of my personal experience in some previous expos, when the doors open and we have a couple of pavilion, the cargo came in very late, and that really had a negative impact on the country image. So once again, I urge you on behalf of all the team and the country managers to help us achieve this last mile. It's so important that we just cross it together.
Thank you, Omar. Indeed, very true that we do cross this last mile together. Our next question on non-perishable and perishable items. This one I'll invite my colleague Khalid to take. Non-perishable food and beverages and beauty products such as medicinal products, health supplements, pesticides, alcohol, tobacco, and perishable goods are prohibited to be sold in the retail shop and kiosk. Will they be allowed if we submit the certification from relevant authorities from my country?
Thank you, John. With regards to the world market kiosk, we'd like to remind you that we are emphasizing on displaying and selling of unique items that represent your culture. So it's not just any commercial item that will be sold on the world market kiosk. You will add these items in the commercial proposal. We'll discuss them together. And once we review and approve your commercial proposal, we will advise you on what are the certification and documents that are required in order to permit these items to the country. With regards to the certificates issued by your local authorities, yes, mainly these certificates should come from your local authorities. It has to be a relevant authority. And the condition is that the certificate to be in English. And if it is not in English, normal translation, not even a legal translation, is required, and we can accept it.
Our next question. If there's no storage in the kiosk, does it mean at the end of the day that we'll have to move all items back to the pavilion and refurnish the items daily from the pavilion to the kiosk? Who will do this transportation? Expo, or will we have to provide it for ourselves? Adnan, would you please take this question?
Thank you, John. So the size of the kiosk, as we stated, is around 13 square meters. The kiosk itself will be fitted out with shelves and some cabinets to place items and to have small storage facility within the cupboards installed that allows for the on-day replenishment. We're not expecting you to clear the kiosk and send the items back to your pavilion. The items will remain within the kiosk, and the kiosk can be closed and locked, and it will be safe within our site, considering that the site is fully secured and we have security patrol around the site. In terms of replenishing your kiosk, right now what we have is twice a week replenishment plan. If that is deemed insufficient, we will look at that based on your sales and the depletement of stock in your kiosk. These things will be discussed on a weekly basis with your pavilion director, and we can take these requests forward during the event time. Thank you.
Thank you again, Adnan. And on to another question about the kiosk, this time in relation to opening and closing times. So is the kiosk working time the same as the pavilion, or can the kiosk be opened until late? Adnan, if you could please take this question again.
Yes, so considering that the kiosks are in the public realm, the kiosk can continue to operate as the same operational hours of the Expo site at large, and that's from 10 in the morning till 1 and 2 in the evening during weekdays and weekends. We welcome you to continue that operations as such. If you have challenges with your manpower plan and your personnel that will be managing the kiosk operations, please advise us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adnan, for that response. So participants, we'd like to just give it a few moments to see if we have any additional questions coming in. We have a question that just came in. Can we decide to change the initial commercial proposal? Khaled, could you please take this question?
Thank you, John. With regards to the commercial proposal and even the exhibition objects plan, if they are already approved, we urge you that you contact us as soon as possible. Contact the country manager and advise us if you would like to change. We don't recommend changing approved ones, but if you would like to change, please reach out to your country manager and we can discuss that together.
Thank you very much, Khaled. The next question in relation to the distance between the pavilion and the kiosks. So how far is the kiosk and thematic district pavilions? More specifically, the distance between the kiosk and the pavilion. Omar, I'd invite you to take this question.
Thank you. we can't be precise on how many meters will be away, but you know, the site is beautiful, and I think any stroll between the pavilion and the kiosk will be amazing. We can certainly look at your location versus the kiosk in a sign, and we can provide you with the exact distance that separates both.
Thank you again, Omar. So we'll just give it a few more moments to see if we have any more questions. Thank you again for bearing with us, participants. We have one last question coming in.
And I think I just want to clarify, because I just got the distance between any given time for the distance of the kiosk, it's between 1 and 300 meters. The distance between the kiosks and the pavilion. I just wanted to.
Thank you again, Omar, for that, adding that clarity to the last question. So it looks like we are still waiting on this last question, but just as a reminder, you are still able to send any of your questions through ip@expo2020.ae, and we will ensure to get back to you. We have Salma from Namibia with a question. In what currency should the items be sold at the kiosk, and what form of payment will be used? What is the arrangement in terms of banking if items are to be sold in cash? And I would pass this question on to Caroline.
Thank you, John. So the items that will be sold in the kiosk or in your pavilion must be sold in the currency of AED, and also submitted as part of your commercial proposal in AED as well. The methods of payments can vary from cash, credit card, debit card. We encourage an array of different methods of payment. We will provide you with contacts with Network International, who are the credit card providers, and you can set up your own agreement with them. In terms of arranging for the cash for the banking, we have a number of banking facilities on the site. However, the cash lodgement and collection will be at the responsibility of the participant.
Thank you very much, Caroline. So we will now bring this session to a close, and we look forward to seeing you all in the next session. Thank you very much for all your questions and participation. It's a pleasure to have had you with us.